contract training. And actually, it's purely training for awareness. No intention of, no expectation they'll be managing a contract, but just to understand what that contract entails. So that they know when to flag up things like change, or understand the importance of the milestones, or things like that. And the feedback's been really positive. The guys saying that they just find having that awareness of what the guys on the other desk are doing, if you like, is quite valuable.
So you've opened up the next question. What is NEC?
So NEC, NEC3, NEC4 these days is it's a sort of standard form engineering contract. It's come from the construction industry. It's designed to be a collaborative contract to just as a way of sort of engaging contractors into construction projects. And it's the one we probably work to most commonly in our environments.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Yeah. So we love asking what an acronym is on here. So drop more and more of them. We, triangles and acronyms. We love those two.
Yeah, we live in a world of acronyms.
I particularly like NEC, but it's not as widely used, I don't think, in Australia. And hopefully that changes with maturity, because the incentives around the pay and gain is quite good in terms of contract reward. And from a structured perspective, it just, having been on other types of contract arrangement, it's just a lot more approachable. So, if there's an issue or a problem, you'd raise an early warning. If that then becomes something that you would increase in value, or might become a compensation event, and there's a discussion around delays. But it can also get very complex, kind of, and at a commercial level, it can become a bit of an administrative contract arrangement.
Yeah, it does take a lot of administering, for sure. Yeah, but I do like the way things are done up front. There's not really much room for sort of arguing after the fact. Things should be done early if you're administering it properly.
Well, that's the key. If you're administering it properly, I mean, I'm sure between the three of us, we've seen some interesting Z clauses in.
That is that is the secret sauce, though. Doing things properly. Oh, boom! You heard it here first, guys. I had one more. I'm a data geek, and I make no apologies for it. But as a system engineer / project manager / that continuous improvement, you're probably looking to technology, in projects to alleviate some of the mandrolic stuff we used to do. What's your poison in terms of tools you go to help you be more effective in projects? Do you have a sweet spot for some tool sets and why you use them, or is it just I'll use whatever?
Sooner or later, it boils down to Excel, doesn't it, in project management?
You said it, Andy.
Yeah, we try and look at some other tools. There's especially when we're looking at some of the more agile methods we're looking at. There's actually some great stuff built into the Microsoft tool set now. Planner is great for Kanban boards and things like that. And a lot of the tools I go to tend to be the sort of communicative ones. We, especially now all working at home the last few weeks, we've got a lot better at these video chats and message boards and sort of project forums. I mean, I sort of live in all those various sort of tools and try and just keep things open and available. That's the key. Is anything that's sort of multi-user and collaborative just speeds things up. We use things like even simple tools like OneNote. Just find so valuable on projects as just a sort of repository everyone can edit and keep up to date.
Val, I feel like that's a bit of an unfair question because Andy's got to use the tool sets that his clients operating with. So you can't always just come and go, you got to use this tool set or that tool set. Hey?
You can, because, I think Andy answered it perfectly well, because Microsoft has done a very good job at making things accessible and affordable, and everything's integrated. So it makes perfect sense that you would try to leverage those tools as much as possible. And even Microsoft is moving away from an Excel. It's, Power BI is part of that pack now. All the cloud software is integratable. Even OneNote now is cloud-based. So I think that's a very sufficient answer. It's not my preference, but it's good to know how other projects and people utilize the systems and tools, because I think even for listeners, what do you use for Kanbans? I mean, there's a whole bunch, like you said, the Microsoft Planner is quite good, and communication as well. Is there a specific tool you use for communication, or is there a few favorites? Or
at the moment, especially with everyone working at home, I'm actually finding it feels like the bland answer just giving you Microsoft Office every time. But I wish there was something more imaginative. But they're a market leader for a reason, and we're sort of living in Microsoft Teams at the moment. especially the way you can start integrating all their other tools into it. So a project would have a chat board, a planner board, a OneNote, a wiki, all these things sort of bundled in one area, and you can't lose it. It's available for everyone, and it's nice and easy.
Especially in remote working, when you've got obviously Teams is kicked off. Like I think if Corona didn't happen, would Teams be as successful as it is today? Maybe, but there's a lot of saturation in that market of like video conferencing, isn't there? So yeah, it's interesting how well and how quickly people have adapted, and then you can have those boards all integrated with Teams and what was the other one? Planner, and you've got Microsoft Project, which you could have online as well. Yeah, it's fantastic. No, it's good to know. Thanks, Andy.
Since we've got an engineer or former engineer or ex-engineer, whatever we want to label you as, Andy, on here, we got to ask about engineering software tools. And we often look at sometimes projects fail because the scope's not clearly defined. So for requirements, in your experience or from your point of view, what is the best software tools to manage requirements? Is there any specific go-to that you have for that, or that you've seen that engineering go-to?
This is one where we don't often get a free choice on it. This is the sort of thing where we tend to sort of have to follow the client's guidance. In a lot of others, we do get our own freedom. I don't think there's a great tool out there at the moment. I think it's actually a bit of a gap in the market. There's issues in most of them. You've got things like doors are a little long in the tooth now. There's a few others out there with a bit more open source. But it means it usually needs a lot of upfront work to get it set up right. And if you don't already have that expertise to get these tools built, then they tend to cause more problems than they solve, in my experience. So I think there's a real gap in the market for a good requirements management tool at the moment, or certainly I haven't found the right one if it is out there.
Well, we're gonna have to go build one, aren't we, Andy? Let's just we'll take that offline, yeah.
That's the next plan.
So I'm always interested in two facets. One is data, and I think we've kind of covered tools and the V life cycle around how you would manage some of these projects, but we haven't really talked about leadership and organizational change. Obviously, continuous improvement needs people, right? From your experience, I mean, have you trained in any of those kind of methods, or is it something you've picked up just on the projects?
So I've done some training courses in managing people, in leadership. It's I certainly don't have any formal coaching qualifications, but most of it I've gained through experience and through receiving coaching myself. I think that sort of that approach is a better fit. It's not a cookie cutter fit. Here's your certificate and you're away. I think these are a much more sort of nuanced, much more personalized skill set. So whereas your technical skills, your methodologies are one size fits all, or one size fits everyone, and you can go on the formal course. I think my approach to sort of leadership and communication and those. I don't like the term soft skills, but it's the best we have.
I know I'm not a big fan either, but I don't know how to describe it. I mean, what would you call
professional skills, but I don't think it's quite skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a rugby player. He doesn't have soft skills.
I don't know.
And I'm Australian. I don't have professional skills.
Play recently, if you know.
But you're right. The soft skills, it kind of undervalues the importance of it, I think.
It feels secondary, doesn't it? But I don't think I think it's a more bespoke approach suits these leadership and communication and those sort of skills. I've worked with a number of coaches over the years. I've learned a lot from them, but I've learned a lot about coaching from them as well by following their style. And I think working with a number of people has given me a few opportunities. So yeah, a mixture of sort of short courses, coaching, structured training, experience. I think it's a sort of very varied learning on the job skill set, really, and everyone has to tailor their own approach to it to a certain extent.
Yeah, and just on that, I mean, I'm curious for the listeners, but also myself, take a bit of a Tim Ferriss model on this. Like, how do you deconstruct that? Like, if you had soft skills, like professional skills, let's call it that, on an app store, is there a way to? I mean, what would you pick first, and why? In terms of there's obviously 100 different types of things you could learn in dealing with people, like communication styles and leadership, etc. But what are your top picks?
It's very situational. It depends on your role and your experience and your current needs. To be perfectly honest, it's like a lot of training. It's only useful if you get an opportunity to apply it right away.